Hi, my name is Mayanthi Fernando. I'm the interim provost of colleges 9 and 10. As provost, I oversee the academic aspects of college life, which means that I oversee core, which all frosh take, other academic courses, and academic advising. I got my PhD in anthropology from the University of Chicago, and I came to Santa Cruz in 2008. And I'm faculty in the Department of Anthropology. As you can see, my mask keeps slipping. We are obviously in a very strange situation, and you should all be here instead of watching this video, but unfortunately we are in COVID times. I have been involved in colleges 9 and 10 since I got here, but just as a faculty member. This year, however, as I said, I'm interim provost, and I'm very excited to be here. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Mayanthi. We're excited to have you too. And my name is Sarah Woodside Bury, and I use she, her, hers pronouns, and I am the Senior Director for College Student Life here at College 9 and College 10, which means that I get to co-lead the colleges with Mayanthi. As she oversees the academic side, I get to oversee the sort of student life side. So everything that happens outside of the classroom is within my purview. Everything from orientation to graduation, residential life, to student leadership opportunities, and everything in between. So I get to work in the field of my study. In fact, I graduated from Colorado State University with a master's degree in student affairs and higher education. And prior to that, I did my undergrad at the University of California, San Diego. And San Diego and Santa Cruz are actually sister campuses to one another in that we're both part of the UC system, obviously. We also are both Research One public institutions, but have the benefit of these really small, unique living and learning communities that are the colleges. And the colleges really offer an opportunity for students to engage with coursework and outside of the classroom work, so co-curricular opportunities, so to speak, that relate to the theme of that college, and we're going to be talking about that soon. But I have to say that both as a student and now as a staff member in this college system, I think you all made the best choice, and we're so excited to welcome you here to UC Santa Cruz, whether it's in person or virtually. We're thrilled to have you.
And we do want to just acknowledge the strangeness of this situation, the fact that we are doing this introduction via video. We realize that, in normal circumstances, you would be here, we would be in a big room together, and this would be very different. But unfortunately, we are living in just what seems sometimes like catastrophic times, and I do just want to acknowledge the strangeness of that all. That being said, we are still really, really excited for this year. We're really excited to welcome you, even though it might just be virtually. And what we're going to do is, since I am in some ways as new to all of this as you are, we're gonna do a kind of tour of the colleges where I ask Sarah questions, and Sarah will sort of lead the way here.
So like Mayanthi said, we're going to be offering this short video so you can get a sense virtually of the greatness of our colleges and all that we have to offer. And we want to share with you a little bit about our space and the space that we get to occupy and we get to welcome you to hopefully soon, one day. And we wanted to just also acknowledge that we do talk about our colleges as colleges, right? So we are College 9, separate from College 10, yet we are linked by our themes, and those themes, really each of those themes do complement one another, and we hope that our students are engaging with our two themes of our two colleges, also engaging with us as staff members who work to support all of our students collectively. We want to make sure that all of our students, both at College 9 and College 10, have all the resources and support that they need, and it was intentional that these two colleges were founded together about 30 years ago, 20 years ago. And we wanted to ensure that the way that the colleges were intended was to allow for the shared administration to be able to support our students more effectively. So again, we're going to be talking about each of our colleges separately, but we're also going to be talking a lot about the things that we do together. So again, we welcome you here to College 9 and College 10.
Welcome to College 9 and College 10. So Sarah, we are in the amazing Terry Freitas Cafe. Could you say a little bit about the cafe and also about the College 10 theme, which is social justice and community?
Excellent. Yeah, so College 10 actually was started in 2002, and it's the same year that these buildings were actually built, and the Terry Freitas Cafe where we're sitting now is actually in the basement of, or the ground floor of, one of our residential halls at College 10. And College 10 was founded by the work of an interdisciplinary task force that came together, 20 some odd years ago to really think about emerging themes, primarily in the fields of social sciences. And both the theme of College 9 and College 10 were sort of birthed out of that process of thinking about what our students needed to be grappling with or thinking about as they embark on their college education. And so the theme of social justice and community as College 10's theme came out of that process. And now I think that what we're trying to do with our students and have been this whole time is to really encourage our students to graduate as social change agents. So to think about themselves as it relates to others in terms of understanding the depth and breadth of our own histories and our own cultures, while also trying to understand those others of us who are interacting in the same community. And so we're really looking for students to think more deeply about social justice and creating more equitable and more just relationships and more equitable society. And so we are working with students both inside and outside of the classroom to engage with that theme more deeply. And in fact, the Terry Freitas Cafe is an example of that process, and that when we first opened, along with some of our first staff, we envisioned a space where students could come together and think outside of the classroom about the theme of social justice and community, and have a space where they could do that with each other. And so this cafe first was named Cafe Revolucion, and it was created by students and is led by students and continues to be led by students today as a space for students to come day or night, to hang out, study, play the piano, play pool, get a free cup of coffee, but also to sort of think about the issues of social justice and community that relate to the College 10 theme. We have incredible open mics, spoken word, and amazing programs and events that really help students to think outside of what they might be learning in the classroom around these compelling themes. And speaking of graduating social change agents, which is our goal at College 10, we have the honor of having had this space renamed in 2012 for an alumnus of UC Santa Cruz by the name of Terry Freitas. And Terry Freitas' family wanted to dedicate this space as a place for continued learning and growth around social justice, because Terry Freitas himself also worked in that field, in the sense that he was partnering at the time with the Uwa Nation in Colombia to try to block Mobil Oil and Exxon Oil from extracting their land. And that was successful. However, he lost his life in the course of that duty, along with 2 other members of that organization. So unfortunately, we get to honor his spirit, and it allows our students to really think about how they can enact their own senses of what a more equitable world might look like one day for themselves. So it's an honor to have this name and have this space for our students continually, and we look forward to welcoming all of our students to this space one day soon. Thanks.
So Sarah, we are standing in front of the entrance to the community garden of colleges 9 and 10. Can you say a little bit about the garden and also about other opportunities that students have to flourish that are part of college student life?
Absolutely. So yeah, the garden actually was started in 2013 by a group of students actually who were interested in developing this space into a more usable space so that students could grapple with the 2 themes of our colleges, international and global perspectives and social justice and community, through a garden, and really learning about issues surrounding agriculture, whether it's food justice or sustainability, but to really be thinking about the garden as a space to learn more practical tools and resources to engage with the themes of our 2 colleges. So our students sort of plowed the way, so to speak, to ensure that this space could become a space that they could not only be a part of the garden club, so you asked about clubs and organizations that students can get involved in, but they can be a part of the garden club, or they can just come to events that are here in the garden, learn more about the themes of our 2 colleges through those events and those activities, as well as through the garden club happenings. So this is a great space for students to get involved, and as you can see, a great space that students really spearheaded to ensure that its use could go on beyond what it was originally.
And so I know that there are also other activities. Can you say a little bit about the Practical Activism Conference, the Multicultural Student Weekend, the Intercultural Student Weekend? It seems like there's all kinds of things that students can get involved in.
Absolutely. So you don't have to be an outside person or in the garden to get involved here at Colleges 9 and 10, for sure. The Practical Activism Conference has been around for several years. In fact, it started by a collective group of staff and students to really, again, further their understanding, our understanding of the themes of our two colleges. It's a day-long conference, and students get involved quarters before to help plan it. And then they work together with faculty and other community partners to put on a day-long conference with workshops that really delve deeper into the themes of our two colleges. And so that's an opportunity that students can not only take a course or be a part of the Practical Activism planning team, but they can also just attend the conference and learn about some of these issues through their fellow students and faculty and community members' work. And then you talked about the 2 weekends. We have 2 weekend retreats that are focused on the themes of each of our colleges. So College 9 has an Intercultural Community Weekend retreat. College 10 is the Multicultural Community Weekend retreat. These are opportunities for students to get out of UC Santa Cruz and go away for the weekend with a smaller group of students led by fellow students. And they get to, again, think more deeply and more practically, think about more hands-on tools and skills that will help them to learn about the 2 themes of our colleges.
And I also know that there is an alternative spring break. Can you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, we have a super popular alternative spring break, and has been for years. It's been a part of our founding history and continues to this day. An alternative spring break is an opportunity for students to get away from UC Santa Cruz for the week of spring break. And the last several years, we've been partnering with our neighboring community of Watsonville to learn more about issues of food justice, for example. It really relates to community gardens, the premise of the community garden, as well as other issues in that community. And so the group of students comes together and determines kind of what the course is going to look like and how it is that they're going to participate in sort of projects or service that would benefit not only their own learning, but also benefit our surrounding community.
Wow, amazing. And other opportunities for student government?
Yeah. So speaking of student voice and ensuring that the student voice is being heard, students can participate in either of our student senates or student government. So we have a College 9 Student Senate and a College 10 Student Senate that really is the place for students to come together and voice some of their concerns and their ideas, as well as to decide on funding. So the students pay into their college membership, and those funds are decided upon by your fellow students and by yourselves. So we look for students to participate in that way as well.
Okay. And is there a place where does one go to get more information about all of this?
Yeah, so there's a ton. We could go on and on. We could stand here all day talking about all the opportunities just here at College 9 and College 10, not to mention UC Santa Cruz. But if you're interested in getting involved here at College 9 and College 10 outside of the classroom and to hone your own leadership skills, we invite you to connect on our website. We have a whole section dedicated to getting involved and finding your community. And so we invite you to find your community outside of your classroom or your major experience so that you can get involved in some of our student leadership opportunities. Thanks. So here we are in front of the multipurpose room, or MPR, which is actually adjacent to and attached to our dining hall. So it's a site where students come to eat or enjoy their meals from the dining hall. But it's also the site of where many of our events and activities and even our clubs and organizations host different opportunities for students to engage with right here in our multipurpose room. And it's really close by to all of our students live. And the multipurpose room is also the site of our plenaries or large group meetings of our core course every year. Obviously not in a COVID year. So can you tell us a little bit, Mayanthi, about the College 10 core course?
Sure. So let me say a little bit about core itself more generally. The core, it's officially called College 1. And all frosh across the campus take College 1 at their specific college. And we call it core because it's sort of a core curriculum. It's a kind of foundational course that all frosh take that teaches students how to be be a university student rather than a high school student, because university is, it's a different ballgame in some ways, right? And so the core is a way for students to learn kind of common vocabulary. They learn critical thinking skills, critical reading skills, critical analysis skills, and then each of the core courses is also thematically specific to the college. And the College 10 theme is social justice and community. And so there are many different sort of modules within core within that theme. So students are going to learn about gender, they're going to learn about class, they're going to learn about identity, there's a unit on poverty, there's a unit on climate justice. So it's basically a kind of introduction into the concepts of social justice and community.
Wonderful. Can you tell us a little bit about the format this year for core?
Sure. So obviously it's going to be different than core usually is. Usually students meet together in person in one place in a kind of small group setting with their individual instructor. This year, obviously, or this fall, obviously, everything is going to be remote. And so there's going to be synchronous and asynchronous elements to core. Students will meet either once a week or twice a week or sometimes even 3 times a week face-to-face with the instructor and the other students, but there will also be asynchronous elements to core that students will kind of do on their own time. And so I want to give a shout out to the amazing core instructors who just put in a tremendous amount of time and energy and effort into reimagining core for a COVID age. It's obviously going to be different, but I think it's going to be a really great learning and bonding experience for our students.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're outside of Namaste Lounge right now, which is another popular spot for our students to gather. It's also a place where we host a lot of events and programs. And it's also, this particular spot is one of our favorite spots of College 9. To have the nice picnic tables and the view of our redwood trees. But I know earlier you mentioned about our incredible faculty and lecturers who work with our core course, and I know we have an equally incredible advising team. So I'm wondering if you can share a little bit, Mayanthi, about the advising resources that are accessible to students.
We do have a really incredible advising team, and so the other component, there are courses and core of the sort of academic environment for colleges 9 and 10, but the other component of academics here is the advising team. We have a phenomenal set of advisors, and the advising team is really here to guide students throughout their academic career. They're here to help students choose their major. They help students keep on track and make sure all of their general education requirements are fulfilled. They are really a kind of resource for students with regard to any sort of questions that they may have academically. The advising team will be meeting with students remotely. They are available for appointments, I believe, from Monday through Thursday, for individual appointments, and email contact from Monday through Friday. So even though we are in very strange COVID times, as we keep saying, we hope to have, we will maintain advising as a major kind of support anchor for our students. And I think it's worth keeping in mind that the advising team are really advocates for the students. And so when students and if students have any kind of concern about the academic part of their college experience, the advising team is really the first point of contact for them to go to.
That's great.
So we are standing in front of the residence halls of College 10. Could you say a little bit about the residential experience?
Absolutely. So yes, we are here in the quad of College 10. We actually have 3 residence hall buildings that surround this sort of quad area. We have Ohlone House on this side, Angela Davis House, and then in the back, Amnesty House. And these 3 houses or residential buildings encompass all of the buildings at College 10 for primarily our first year students. And typically, in a typical year, students live in usually triple rooms, or sometimes doubles, sometimes singles, but mostly triple rooms. And they're kind of a traditional dormitory style or hotel style, if you will, long corridors with shared bathrooms in the center. And then between the three buildings, there's at least here, there's two different spaces for students to have like study lounge within the buildings as well. So they can leave their rooms to study if they want to in the study lounges, or just study in their rooms as well. And then each of these, actually two of these buildings, have laundry room facilities as well for our students to share. So there's a couple of different avenues for students to get all their needs met, so to speak, right here in this quad.
And how were the three residence halls named?
Great question. So each of these are actually numbered buildings. So that's their building number by the campus. And many moons ago, several students came together and said, hey, we don't like these numbers. They don't actually resonate with us. And they came together, and all the students input kind of ideas for names of the buildings. And then they had a general election or a voting opportunity for all students to vote for their favorite names that related to the themes of the college. So for social justice and community, they really wanted to pick names that related to that theme. And in each building, there's actually a lounge in each of those buildings that has a mural that is dedicated to the name of the building, that expresses a little bit more about the history and the name.
Wow, that is really cool.
Yeah. And then what I wanted to say a little bit about was around COVID and what this experience would be like for students, because it's going to be a little bit different than what I was describing earlier. And so this year, actually, we won't be putting anyone into Ohlone House this year for other facilities issues, but instead we'll have students living in Angela Davis House and Amnesty House. And instead of in triple rooms, they'll be in single rooms. So each person will be assigned one room, and not every room on every floor is going to be utilized, so that we can create more of a COVID safe kind of experience for students. There'll be less people sharing the bathrooms, the hallways, the entrances and exits, so to speak. So there will be, there's also hand washing stations set up at, when you enter or exit the building. And then in terms of how students will engage in sort of the lounge spaces will look differently. Obviously, there won't be kind of social gatherings there, but there's obviously each person will have their own room, so hopefully quiet enough space to study, etc.
And so there will be some first-year students living in these residences, even in the fall.
Yes, even this fall we will have some first-year students, only those students who really need a place to live. And so we have students that don't have a home or a permanent place to go. We have students that are in, unfortunately, unsafe situations, or situations where it's not conducive to virtual education, and so they need to be on campus to be able to get the most out of their educational experience. So we will have a few students here, and like I said, they'll just be in those single rooms occupying these spaces.
Great.
So we're standing in front of the dining hall that students use. Can you say a little bit, obviously things are going to be quite different now with COVID. Can you say a little bit about how dining is going to work, and how other aspects of residential life, like what are the resources that are available to students during this time?
Absolutely. Yeah, so folks that will be living on campus, or our residents that will be living on campus, will have access to dining. And the way that it works this year because of COVID is that prior to coming onto campus, we're actually asking students to sequester or kind of quarantine themselves 10 days prior to coming to campus. And then once they get here, they'll be on a 14-day sequestration period once they're here on campus. And part of that includes 3 meals a day right here in our dining hall here at Colleges 9 and 10. Students will be entering into the dining hall main doors 6 feet apart, and they'll be going in, getting their meals from our fantastic dining hall staff, and then they'll be headed through the multipurpose room. And if you recall earlier, we talked about the multipurpose room is adjacent to the dining hall, so they'll be kind of exiting in a different door than they will have entered. And that's just to ensure that we are keeping folks safe and distanced appropriately while they get their food. And then after that period of time is over for all of our students, we're actually going to be doing using a new program called the Get app, and you can get your food via this app, and everyone's going to have it available for download, etc. So you can, even those of us not on a meal plan can even order specific things that we might want, but those of you that are on a meal plan will be able to order what you need for the meal, or even in between meals. And then the dining hall will transition from, instead of kind of a breakfast, lunch, and dinner pickup, they will transition to being open from the morning until night, and you can come in at any time. But again, you'll still use the same socially distant kind of avenue to get in and out of the dining hall, but your orders will be placed through this app. So that'll be exciting to start getting to use. And then I just wanted to mention too, while we're thinking about all these different campus resources, you know, this is obviously, the dining hall is obviously for people that are living here, but we have so many staff and faculty and student orgs, et cetera, that are all still operational. So even our jobs, right, are all virtual. And so our advising team that we talked about earlier, to all the various campus resources. So in addition to dining, we have, you know, our health center, we have our counseling and psychological services, we have care advocates on campus that deal with Title IX issues, we have tutors for any subject matter, right? All of those campus resources are still operational, even through COVID, even through the wildfires. They figured out ways to ensure that our students were getting the support that you need, and they will continue to do that all throughout this quarter and so and beyond, right? So we want to ensure and encourage you all to reach out to not only the colleges, but to all of these campus resources that are here to support you in any need that you may have. Okay, so now we're at the beautiful entrance to upper campus of UC Santa Cruz that happens to be our own backyard, because we are right in front of us, or behind you, is the International Living Center and our College 9 and College 10 apartment community. So all of our continuing students, as well as all of our residential students in our residence halls, have this perfect access to upper campus. So Mayanthi, I was wondering if you could share a little bit about our natural environment that we have here.
Sure. So I'm not an ecologist or a botanist. I'm just someone who really likes being out here. But I think we are so incredibly lucky to have literally our backyard be a redwood forest, right? And so this is, as Sarah said, this is the kind of gateway, the entryway to what we call upper campus. There are trails all over here where you can bike, mountain bike, you can hike, you can just walk. I think you can even horseback ride, because it says, you know, horses limited to designated roads. So apparently you can horseback ride out here as well. I really like to come out here. My office happens to be very close by. So when I'm done with meetings, when I'm done with classes, I just put my hiking shoes on and I come out here and I just go for a walk for about an hour, and it helps me decompress. And so I really encourage every student I meet to do the same thing, whether you live at colleges 9 or 10 or not, but colleges 9 and 10 students are so lucky because they just have to walk outside and they are right here. And, you know, I know nature seems a little ferocious right now in California with the wildfires, but we are really lucky in Santa Cruz to, you know, to be in a place where the redwoods literally meet the ocean. There's so much to do here. There's so much to see. There's so much to take advantage of. We have flocks of wild turkeys wandering around campus. We have deer. In the wintertime, the monarch butterflies make their home in Santa Cruz on their way, I guess, way south. And so they're here, you know, anytime sort of after like October, November, December, into February, I think. Yeah. And so we just have a lot to offer in terms of the natural world. And I really hope that students take advantage of that, especially right now when, you know, it's hard to be isolated. It's hard to be inside all the time. And again, we're just really lucky to have all of this incredible, beautiful outdoor space that's in our backyard.
Yes.
So we know that this is just a very brief snapshot of the college experience, but we wanted to give you a sense of the place, of all of the resources that we have to offer. There's a lot more to college life than all of this, but this is just a kind of very brief introduction of sorts to college life.
And so we want to just say thank you for tuning in, and I'm going to invite us to take our masks off so we can properly welcome you. Welcome to UC Santa Cruz.